gaining insight into 30 people's personalities and industries. Hi, I'm Lana from Lana Mae Meets, and today I'm going to be joined by Arj, the owner of Performance Physique. Arj, thank you so much for joining me today. As owner of Performance Physique, can you just talk about like what first sparked your passion for sport?
Hi, Lana. Passion for sport. I think it is an innate quality. I don't think there's ever been a point which I can remember not basically wanting to be active, do something. I can remember the earliest moments of like sport. I remember being 3 years old, sat in my uncle's front sitting room, watching Jonathan Edwards jump like the triple jump world record. I remember being 5 years old and watching the World Cup, football World Cup, soccer, because it was in America. It's those really, really early moments, and it's always something I was really interested in. And then you kind of like fast forward from those early exposures to then being like being active and trying to do them myself. Like I remember crying at Euro 96. I remember crying again at FIFA 1998 World Cup. And like during breaks, or it might be 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, going outside and trying to kick a ball for 2 hours. My parents were very irresponsible that we just do that time, but like just repeatedly trying to improve my qualities. No net, coaching necessarily. It's just always something that's been there. My brother was always quite active, but again, he's not like hardcore sports. He coached the football team. And my sister, she was a ballerina, but she wasn't around much because she was off doing that. So for me, it was just, what's that trivia teachers? Yeah, I think it's silly as it sounds. There's something moving on a screen. There's something moving on a pitch that looks a lot more interesting than what I spend most of my day now, which is looking at user screen programming, which I love doing. But it's different.
And so, what were your main sports growing up? Like, I know we just touched on it. You liked a lot of things, but what was the main?
Um, I my best friend basically always used to say, "You are sport." That was the joke of you just love sport. I just try my hand at anything, but there were probably 3 areas that I did most. So like football, yeah, it's a cliche, isn't it really? But always football was the first thing, and I wish academy systems were in place back then. I wish I had maybe a bit more of a driven parental side saying you need to stick to this, you're really quite good at it. Because I've probably done all right in that. Tennis was big when I was a child, and then obviously I understood the concept of just running would help both of those. It wasn't until I got to like 14, 15 that I started playing basketball. I think I kind of played it more because I wanted to do something which most people weren't doing, because I liked being that individual, like sort of different. I did be you'd sell.
Just a little bit.
So, but it was always football and tennis initially, and then the shift really started where I started doing different sports. I remember being put in a rugby team and being devastated at it. I never wanted to play rugby, but by the time I was 12, I was like 6 foot, and I don't know, 75 kilos or something, or rare. So they physically said, "Oh, you have to play rugby," kind of thing, and I hated it. And now, like 20 years later, it's a little bit more, but I now think, oh, I would have played good, but I wish someone pushed me into that. And so it's changed over time, but football was the original thing.
Should have had you on last show.
Yeah, imagine that.
Not being friends.
That's what I've got to. I've got to promote this though. Performance physique.
Yeah, it doesn't. Is it like a seat?
I could have. Yeah. I don't want to break it. Makes you clothing.
So obviously those sports you said were the main ones, but you trained as Kathy.
Stupid idea that.
So we talk about that and try to train for the Rio Olympics.
Yes, great knowledge. Here's my background. How are you doing that?
I did, and I also have known Arj for quite a few years.
How many years is it?
I was 15. It was first year at GCSE 3, so 7 years. So 7 years. And we did lots of hair lockdown.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and daily session course school, wasn't it? College.
7 years. It's crazy. 7 years. Really. October, because this as we were going to Boston.
Yeah, there's no, great man. What's the question? Ridiculously Catholic. Yeah, of course. So that's quite a funny thing you've held at you pain about. Basically, I was working at Loughborough University during the London 2012 Gags Gospel Rush. The week before was the opening ceremony. I was really upset because a load of my mates who were on the opening ceremony were watching the TV screen, saw them coming out in their GB kits, and I was like, man, I wish I'd tried a bit harder or been brave, but it was definitely I wasn't brave. And then that second week, I was coaching at Loughborough. Loughborough was on a proper lockdown because it was a holding camp for all GB athletes, and I was coaching any GB athletes. It was just a complete coincidence, but I was doing camp, coaching some development kids there, and in my breaks, the way you escape from being hassled by all of these and their parents and the coaches, because you're really intense, these camps. They'd flown in from Hong Kong for a session, and then it was like question. So we had 30 minutes. I'd hide in my car, basically. I had a sandwich or whatever. And I was parked outside Power Base, or the Power Base that was. And that was Lana Mae.
Yes. Yes, I worked there.
He's going to give us and Jimmy bobsleigh team, which field as giants. You've never seen them in person. They're all massive. Oh, yeah. So they were walking past. I distinctly remember looking in my rearview mirror as they were walking past. And I was like, what was that? And then my father, excuse me, and there was my old training partner from basketball. He rang and just said, "You got 5 minutes?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Do you think you can create an Olympic decathlete in 4 years? And part B is, would you coach me for it?" And I'm basically said, "That's a stupid idea," like verbatim. "That's a stupid idea. No, I don't think you can. I think you're an idiot." And then he basically said he loves Excel. Because then I've run the numbers. I think I can get close. So we talked about it. I said, "Look, I'll meet you out there at the track, whatever day it was. We'll do one training session and I'll see how you do." We did that first training session. Still thought the idea was stupid, but it was quite fun. I said, "You know what, rather than just coach you, I'll join you on that journey." And at the time I was working, obviously for myself coaching, but I was working really high up in nutrition as well. And I had a very, very good career. I had everything set up for me. And we decided we were going to train for this full time as well. So getting to the track before any lights come on, before there's light the sky, train for a couple of hours, then I'd drive to anywhere in the country I'd have to be, drive back that night, train again for another couple of hours. And it was that rotation constantly going. We started to see real progress after about 12, 14 months. Yeah, it's about 12 months. I just thought, you know what? Sometimes you just got to do these things. And I went into my review meeting with my director and he said, "It's been a great year, Arj. Broken all these company records, and where do you see yourself next?" And I said, "Well, before we get there, here's my letter of explanation." And I handed my, I've got a history of doing cool things like that.
So yourself.
Yeah, I do. Trust me. I had a resignation. There was obviously other stuff to it, but I basically decided that, Mike, we're going to go full hog into it. Then we had training camp in Oslo, and that was really cool because that was with the elites basically out in Norway. And the facilities indoor there are unbelievable. So you have like full throwing capabilities, for javelins and stuff, but indoors you have trampolines built into the floor of the athletic tracks, so people you warm up, active warm ups and stuff. It was really, really amazing. And it was growing great. Came back to the UK, and I think I'd been out of my job for maybe 2-3 months, something like that. I was doing a plyometric session on the track whilst one of my coaches were taking the junior session at the top of the track, did one plyometric move, and I was like, oh, that didn't feel right. And I don't know what exactly it was, but I was like, oh, I think I should probably stop. It's basically at the end. Kind of felt slightly painful, but I know what an Achilles is meant to be like when it goes. Definitely didn't hear that. You typically hear a gunshot because the amount of tension that goes to the Achilles. And I went off to coach for another couple of hours, 8 o'clock that night, and taking off my socks. And I noticed all this kind of red purpliness all the way down the back of my Achilles to my foot. And I was like, deep down, you know exactly what that is. Yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe because it had been rainy because it's England. And then maybe the color of my socks has worn off and moved on to my...
All these delusion thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, it's Ken. I said, what do you think this is? Two off torn Achilles of that. It's just, I'm not sure. So I did the natural, the best thing you could possibly do at this point. I basically grabbed a flannel and aggressively scrubbed my Achilles, trying to make sure there was just coloring on my Achilles. That was nothing bad. And it obviously come off, took a photo, sent it to my mate who was one of the GB physios at Loughborough, and he just said, get yourself in first thing in the morning, I'll see you. Got a scan, and I'd torn my Achilles. And I'm like, how'd you get here? I was like, I drove. And I'm like, you have a mil of attachment between your heel and the rest of your Achilles, holding it all together. And that was it. That was the end of the dream, really. Yeah, we'd done best part of 18 months. It was cool. Learned loads. Definitely made me a better coach. But that really would have, at the point, I've already been 25 or something. Then yeah, it's too far in really to try and be an elite at that point. But it was a great experience. I wouldn't change it, but well, definitely.
God, was a shame though. And like just being injured when you're so used to being so active, it's just such a
First injury?
Really?
Never, ever got injured. And I think, to be honest, it was just a case of I've been out of sport for a few years and then going in as a full-time, even with my tempered thinking of what everyone else should do. You never treat yourself the same, do you? And yeah, that was it. The Achilles gone. And then since then, I've become really good at rehabbing ruptured Achilles for other people. Because it's personal, really, isn't it? Yeah. You don't want anyone else to go through that.
And you also know how it feels and what worked for you. So you can try and give that to people.
Exactly. I had loads of help as well from friends to get me through that. So you particularly Phil Evans of the body, he basically looks after me for about 6 months, just constantly was playing. We had loads of treatment on it. He got his superiors at Loughborough to support it. But they were great. He's not really good, but it was very clearly a game over.
And was it like a similar process of recapping that to the injury you then got with training for the Barcelona match, or?
Yeah, so the difference in time period between that and Barcelona is 11 or 12 years. And then basically in that period of time, no training occurs.
Oh, really?
Basically no training. Like you go from training 20+ hours a week to training 1 hour a fortnight, a month, kind of being 10 kilos heavier and for all of those kind of things. But what happened is effectively there's a chain reaction of what happened from the Achilles tear and happened in my body, and it filled an A4, about 1.5 A4s of what actually happened. And as a result, the way I sustained, so I broke my tibia in 2 locations there and there. That wouldn't happen in 99% of the cases. It's just because most people have something which will go earlier as a warning sign. And because of the previous injury, all of those things are broken down. So like I have effectively old age calves, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm in my youth.
You're old.
No, we're basically the same age.
Might have to edit that.
So they're related, but only because it's a chain reaction.
Yeah.
So yeah, different legs.
Yeah.
So that.
And do you think you would do it? Do you think you would try and do a marathon, or after this is that kind of like being sensible thoughts?
Sensible's very boring. I never wanted to do a marathon. We got forced into it.
Even though you're a running coach.
Yeah, it's a stupid idea, something like that. Very good at coaching people there, but
Yeah.
so basically the marathon now is a must because I've opened that gate, and therefore I do have to complete it at some point. So it will happen. I'm rehabbing at the moment, and like it kept me going last night because it was quite painful after doing my rehab run. Very, very conservative and very calculated. Now I am being sensible. So it'd probably be like 2.5 years before I go down that road again, but I have to do it because I've settled.
It's just ticking that box. Otherwise, you're just getting stuck.
Yeah, I'm a completer finisher. I'm not an individual that can say.
No, you have to.
Exactly.
You have to do it properly. Otherwise, don't do it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've got a little script. So, obviously we talked about Loughborough. Arj also was involved with like the teaching side of things and course design. So I really did my homework.
How did you find this week?
I did some deep dives.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm a public big one, dude. Oh, did you?
Yeah. So just talk about what I guess.
Again, it's just like falling into things. So at some point, basically, where I'd been injured with the Achilles, and I think I was boarding a flight. That's it. Yeah, I was in the airport, waiting to fly to Barcelona, which is a theme. We go there. We basically went there every year. And my old friend, she was GB 400 and also a lecturer. That's how she managed to train and everything. She would lecture part-time in sports science. And she rang me and said, "What are you doing at the moment in life?" And I think I was coaching, and maybe doing something in nutrition, but I was mainly doing my own thing. She said, because there is a lecturer's position that's come, and I don't have a teaching qualification. You don't need that for university. You have to have that for under 16s. It was at the time. It might be under 18s now. But there's like an assessment process in which they see if you're good enough in your field. And basically I said, look, I'm about to get on the plane literally in 15 minutes. This sounds really interesting. I would be interested in lecturing as Peter. So I went in like 10 days later, and they basically said, oh, there's a class there. It's a class on coaching for second year uni students. Would you like to just try taking it? Went and did my 3-hour lecture. I don't know if they thought it was crap, but
well, it's probably started the lecture with a full hall, and then you give the break, don't you? You take the break at half time, and then everyone
came back in.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, definitely. Got no evidence of that, but yeah.
Well, I remember it being really weird because I thought outside because it's small classrooms, and outside of the room there's like an assessor's room. I thought, oh, they probably stayed in there the whole time monitoring me. And there was no one in there. And then at the end of it, they came and met
like free label while they were
yeah. Oh man,
yeah.
I realised now. But yeah, it went really well, and they just said, "Would you like the position?" And I was like, obviously yes. So I think I lectured for about 3 or 4 months, and then they said, "Oh, we'll do like an official assessment process and all of these things." I had to fill out all these documents, and I ended up lecturing for about 6 months when Oxford Brookes University were then going to launch a degree program at campus, and that's when I first had my opportunity to. I had to be validated by Oxford Brookes because I didn't hold the credentials that most lecturers do. And so I had to deliver stuff to them, which was weird because you just know you've got basically a bunch of professors who on paper are very, very good. Yeah. And you're like, am I a charlatan or do I really know my stuff? And they signed me off immediately, and it was really cool. Got to design my first course. I was definitely like more the practitioner rather than the theory side in that first one. And then the second time I got asked to design a course was like 6-7 years later. So by this point, I'd been lecturing. I ended up being the head of higher education for sports science. And Oxford Brookes, I'd left at this point, and Oxford Brookes basically had gotten in touch with the campus, said, "Will I just come in to design a new course, not necessarily teach on it?" Yeah. And I came back to design the course. Obviously, at this point, having been in industry and been coaching, all this, yeah, being really big time.
Yeah.
And
So Arj, you had fifth original.
I had to go sideways. And it was really cool because it felt really like I was molding my entire whole vision. Now, before you take these other lecturers' points and then fit their molds, but you'd fit it out. This time it was like, this is my vision for what courses. As a practitioner and as a coach and having been in this is what boys want, that this is what students actually need. As you know what it's like when you're doing a course and it has no relevance to real life and what's going to help you as a student.
It's so long. Right? I had a few modules this year, so it's final year at last, and genuinely, I'd come away and be like, what are we doing here? Why are we learning this? It's so irrelevant. And even his Dizoki uni, he was like learning this one code, and I was talking to some of the developers here, and they're what, we have not used this in 50 minutes. But why are they teaching this? And it's just stuff that they've had and they're not updating it. And then you kind of sit there and you're like, oh.
See, that's really disappointing, isn't it? Because you just feel like you've effectively had to tick the box as a student. And having been on the other side of things, desperately didn't want that to be the case. You know, Oxford Brookes and the campus, Solihull, were really cool with it. They were like, really trusting. You said, you've been in industry, you're the fit for these students want to become. And they gave me this leeway, and we worked together, and it was brilliant. I think I'd basically decided that, I've written, I kind of want to lecture it as well. So I think I did maybe 12 months or 18 months, and coincidentally, the person who was the head of the department was stepping away. So I just slotted in at that point, and ran the second course. I think it was a really good course. Yeah, I really enjoyed being like that.
But when you've made it, you want to kind of own it and make sure it's delivered in the way you want it to be. Because if you hand it off to someone else, it's not going to be what you want. And it's just like all the pieces kind of fell into place for that to happen.
There's definitely a learning thing there as well. I remember a particular module which I had this brand vision for, and the way the scheduling worked, I couldn't deliver that one. My expertise was needed elsewhere. And I remember the other lecturer, who's very well qualified, on paper much more qualified than me, was just like, I don't get why you would have this in. And we had this massive debate over it. And he was just like, okay. And I remember it being so difficult to step away and not micromanage and not be too emotionally attached to something like you just talked about, you want to deliver and see how it comes out, and have to be like, realistically, this is where we need to hit. It needs to just have these pillars in there and all those end KPIs for the student. But for not being that annoying individual who looks over his shoulder and like, won't put that in, won't put that. I do, however, remember sending him like 200 journal articles, just being like, make sure you use these.
They conveniently went into his jockey map.
Oh yeah, mate. It was cool. It was cool there. It was Cuban. Cuban, I should say.
Actually, I really want to go to Cuba. Me and my mates were talking about wanted to go. Shit, not to get like we were just talking about different places we wanted to go. Cuba was on there, but yeah,
Very cool. Apparently, my brother went.
they're far more frustrating though. So maybe in a few years, maybe I'll tie in with a trip back to Europe, then and then
Hop over. That's how I carry on.
Yeah, like an around the world trip. So, yeah, definitely. So obviously you have done your coaching and done your lecturing, and do you think that all of those kind of different elements you'll bring into just your like performance physique work? Because obviously you've worked with like proper GB athletes and then also kind of people
What you
training.
can call them nobodies.
No, like people training and aspiring to be like athletes, but that's like novices. Kind of, there's definitely a big difference.
Yeah. I think that my main strength has been I've been the blend of so many different skill sets. So there's one of the leading speed coaches in the world. He did an interview last week and basically said, in today's world, to be able to deliver a good service, you have to have a minimum of 2 fields that you're good in. So for him, he was a sports therapist and a swinger coach. And because I got to a very high position in nutrition and working with some really, really great practices, well, world leading practitioners, and timing coaching at, again, a really high position. Those two molded really, really well, because what I noticed was the guys over here in coaching still believed all the nutritional myths, and the guys over here in nutrition lab had no idea how to be a coach. So molding those two together and then filling it in with understanding biomechanics and everything. So over 20 years, accruing as much knowledge as possible. And the most important one being just how to talk to someone. Yeah. You know, I think you're all right. I'm not even going for one. Just said on how I say that. But like understanding that if you have an athlete who that day walks in a certain position, like you spot those body language things, and you know you need to say certain words to don't, not say certain other words. Yeah, just go through that. That's the difference, I think, and I think that's the difference in any surface, any service-based industry. Like we're sat here at Greens.
Having a lovely coffee. So what's the nutritional value in this?
Happiness. That's what it is. That's happiness. And there's nothing wrong with that flexibility. I was cutting some slices of the cake here that Lana's purchased.
Sorry, I'm not.
In order for me to tuck in.
That's the only reason you did it.
You promised cake.
Yeah.
But it is that part of it. Do you have people skills? That opens your door to everything. And then everything I've gained in the middle has then allowed performance physique to grow. I'd say in terms of how you work with a GB athlete to how you work with a 70-year-old. I think my oldest person I work with is 70 and my youngest is 6. It all actually comes down to the 6-year-old. If you can coach a 6-year-old, you can coach up the chain. You can coach an elite athlete. It's very iffy whether you can coach down the chain. So the elite athlete wants A, B, C, and wants to make sure it equals 1, 2, 3. You have to rotate through it. Obviously, they spend all of their time the elites, actually, but still having some exposure, I always think is the best. And that's what I've always done with any coach who's worked with me or for me. It's always been a case of, you have to do this stuff down here as well.
Yeah. Can't get.
Yeah.
I'll let you eat. A good example of that is in Australia. I played 6 months in Adelaide, first grade cricket, and for the girls that had Big Bash contracts, if they didn't have any professional games on, they were actually in their contract bound to come back and play club cricket. So in England, girls don't do that. It's optional. And so no one comes back because they've just got a big workload. And I think some people don't want to come back and play club cricket because it kind of feels like they have better things to do for some people. Whereas in Australia, they keep boosting like the standard of grassroots cricket because it's either all of the professionals are back and so the teams are all equal, or they're all not there. And so again, the teams are equal with like the club cricket standard. But it's really good because like when I was out there, I was playing girls that play for Australia, that played in the Big Bash League, and you learn similar.
Really good player at a high level, like that exposure.
Like they probably don't learn that much from coming back, but it's so nice that they do come back and they play Whereas at home, like in England, when you don't have any of that high level, it doesn't push you as much, I think, sometimes. Like, especially the younger girls, when they have the big dogs coming as such, they do just really up their game, and it just makes whether you win or lose, it just makes the standard of the overall game so much better.
You know what? The one thing I disagree with you there is that I think the ones who come back in, as long as they're open-minded, they do learn. Because they have a very, very, very serious position of responsibility on how to deliver leadership qualities or resilience or concentration, all of these things that they probably have no idea that they're doing because they're a sports person and they're in their zone at that moment in time. And a successful sports person is selfish. It has to be selfish. But by having to take certain roles like that, generally, you'll see some qualities develop. It's the same thing if you have a really talented individual who's maybe a little bit troublesome. You give them a position of authority, and it either goes absolutely peaked on, or suddenly it makes them as an individual of, I can lead this to you.
Yeah. No, it's definitely really important. I really enjoy playing with those girls. Whereas, yeah, as I said, I hope you'd be lucky to be at one game a season while they came back. And so it's just great. Yeah.
No, I would have them on this.
Yes, hopefully when I go back to Australia, I'm gonna
Yeah.
contact a few professional cricketers. So that would be cool to have them on. But yeah, I don't know. I just even like at Loughborough, you also have girls that play for England, and you have really great standard. But I don't know, it's just that one step up. My first grade over there is just completely different, and that's why I think Australia are just so much further ahead than England in terms of cricket, because they do have a bit more like dynamic learning in the club setting, maybe. I don't know how you put it, but it just pushes people to be better at grassroots. You kind of don't forget where you come from, whereas here there's a little bit of that.
I think that's in all Australian sports. There's a big push. You have to perform as a, like, you've been in parts of it, I haven't. But from the outside perspective, it does appear like expectations are higher. You need to meet them or you're out.
I think it probably just like competitive over there because so many people want to do well that it's cutthroat, and you either put in the effort and commit, or you just like do. You're not going to make it as professional as it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how it should be, I guess. Enough about going towards political things. Another thing you've been in is like presenting and media. So obviously you've been working with the BBC and all of that.
I'm available for contracts.
Yes, he's going to be very busy after this interview.
Yeah.
Like, are there any events you've done that have stood out as like your favourite or?
Yeah. So I've worked with, I'd say, in terms of like TV and radio, almost 80% is the BBC. There's only been a few of the other broadcasters. In terms of like the media, literally every paper, every tabloid, magazine relating to health, fitness, literally all of them. And what I've found eye-opening is actually how that industry is so widespread. Like, I'll have an interview with one person, but it'll be published in 3 different papers or magazines or online or whatever. And it suddenly becomes a very small world. So those interviews are maybe less personal. I think it's probably the way to do it. Every now and again, you make a really good relationship with one journalist or something, and you enjoy the conversations you have. There was someone really early on in my career from The Guardian, and she really helped me. She really, really helped raise my profile. I had a few big interviews with her, and that was fantastic. But the real standout moments have without doubt been at the BBC. It's there's the thing of it being called the BBC. Everyone knows the BBC. But also the fact that it's given me the opportunity to have regular slots, particularly for London Marathon. Like, I think this year was my third year covering London Marathon, I think. Is it? You don't know, it's like,
I didn't do the deep dive on that one.
I don't know, but I think it's my third year or at least my second year of doing my live coverage, and then the third year. So they get me in as a regular, and I do a weekly show with them. And there is a particular host called Shay Cordoval, and she's been, if anything, like a mentor to me. And that combined with the BBC, getting the exposure, the opportunities, and without doubt, the London Marathon each year is just something I really look forward to.
Yeah.
Before we booked my hotel each year, the bed point man. But it really gives you an idea of how fast paced that industry is. So like, you will, well, this year, for example, at the London Marathon, because the security is so intense, particularly to get to the media tent, which is right in the middle, right around the finish line. There was 15 seconds before we go on air, and I was the only one there. The previous host had left before the news and traffic update. And the next host, I'm co-host, so I don't lead it. I go for support. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. And she being caught up in like, there was obviously a lot of incidents, medical incidents, so she'd been caught up, so they had delayed the kind of movement of that queue. And literally 15 seconds to go, the producer turns to me and goes, "Arj, you might need to host this. I'll look after you. Don't worry." And like, you got the headphones, like, you got the mic. I just remember thinking in my head, like, yeah, it's fine. This will all be fine. I know exactly what I'm going to say in my opening line. And then I remember, like, she was doing the countdown with me, like, they do it silently. And then out of nowhere, Shay came round the corner and she was like, "Oh, thank goodness you're here." And I was like, cool, so I'm going to support. But he is that fast paced, and like, they literally hold signs up in front of you, like, this is what we're doing. You create conversation around it. It's a real skill set. And like, no matter how well you do in something, and I'm sure people of listening and watching will find this, you always get the boss's intro. Oh, she's it. Because I remember, like, halfway through that broadcast, something happened with someone, trying to get me camera and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm concentrating and I'm delivering my part, so I'm not going to get put off by that. And Shay just managed to sort that out, carry on broadcasting. Nothing's happening. You listen to that, you can't tell what's going on.
But you know yourself, don't you? You kind of hold stuff.
Yeah, it is that. So that's definitely been cool. And then being on stage is really cool. So we've got loads of big stuff coming up for the next season. So I am hosting, opening the International Running Expo in Amsterdam in Denmark. It's really cool. Gonna be doing some really big stuff with some of the big industry people, like that. And then end of January, I'm the only person to be asked to come back for a third time to speak at the National Running Show. And so we'll be hosting some stuff there. So those kind of reoccurring things would be highlights, really. London Marathon and those features.
That is really good. Do you think, like, if there was one event that you could broadcast or present on, what would it be?
The Olympics. Yeah. I've always said I want to be Gabby Loby. It's over that however you want.
Yeah, that's up to viewers. I mean, it would be so cool.
Like this, it would just be, for me, everything I've ever dreamed of. Being able to do, I always think I am a panelist, like, give expert insight as opposed to necessarily the journalism side.
Yeah.
And the Olympics is like that time thing. I think you just come on this one stepping here on what they've been doing and training to create that moment. So hopefully, one day.
Hopefully, well, if you keep doing all of these other events, it'll be awesome. Yeah, I've said it as it has to happen. Whoever's watching, if you've got any Olympic contacts. So last few bits and bobs. What's, like, talking about insights? What would be one, like, myth? One famous myth you'd want to debunk?
I think it's really, really popular right now to try and do everything at once. as hard as possible, as intense as possible. There's a particular really, really high participation event, which is really good for activity. And it's nice to see people getting involved. I think that's really good. But the people who are, or it's many people who are leading these things, A, aren't qualified, and B, try to treat everyone who turns up, whether they're new to sport and activity or they're an experienced athlete, as if they are themselves. All I keep seeing at the moment is people turning on to be injured, saying, "Can you fix this? Can you fix this?" And it's like, how did that happen? You can pretty much 90% of the time take a guess at how it's happened. It's just from people trying to do too much all at once. Focus on one thing, 12 weeks, but really intense about one thing, and then move on to the next phase.
That's like when I was in Australia, wasn't it? And I got good. I was doing this like 6-month intense cricket course in Adelaide, and the PT course was just so uneducated on managing load. Like, we'd be net training for maybe 2-3 hours a day, and then you'd go in the gym with the group for maybe an hour, and then I would go to the gym and then leave myself, and then maybe a few of us would go to the nets again. And like, especially on a Wednesday, you'd have a 3-hour net session in the day, and then I'd go to the gym, and then I'd have a 3-hour net session with club at evening. And so I could be bowling like 30 or 40 overs a day. And then he just was so bad at managing people's loads that, yeah, maybe about the January, February time, and there was about 5 people out of stress fractures, buckshot with the wrists. And I got injured one day, and then I had an MRI the next day, and I sent Arj the results, and he was like, "Oh God." And I remember just like my dad was asking, "What have you been doing?" And then when I told him off and bowling this much and whatever, he's going, "Why? Like, how's people been letting you do that?" And at the time, when you're just so invested in wanting to be as good as you can,
And you want to be professional as well. You know how to say no, which is understandable.
and like for me, this, I'm always busy, and like when I'm not doing something, I can't let myself rest. It's like unproductive time. And so when I was out there, I used like amazing opportunity to train, and not just be trained constantly, even though you shouldn't be doing that. This guy clearly didn't know what to do with all this load and different people's skill sets and like the different, kind of requirements of batters and bowlers and keepers, and didn't align people's plans to that. And so that's why, like by the end of it, 30 people came away injured. So, but yeah, I mean, not that I'm no better. Like, I still train lots, but at least I know a bit more now. Whereas,
At least I know what I'm doing is not.
Yeah. Whereas, you just follow those plans, and you expect the people to go on the top plan, and you just don't. But
yeah, it's really difficult that though, because you want to impress as well. It's not easy to say to your goal or your goal individual, no.
Yeah. Right. And I think that was at the peak time when I was trying to make it professionally, and it just like there was no stopping that. I had to 100%, even if that wasn't like I wasn't doing all of the right things because I didn't let down my rest days. But yeah, just.
But you learn from it.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes. Like this year after I'd finished my exams, and all of my other friends still had exams as well. What do I do? I still have my power-based membership at Loughborough. So I was just like, I'm just going to go to a bunch of stuff. And there were certain days, because all I was doing was working, like my job, I was just going to the gym and do like a bunch of classes. I think there's one day I did 4 classes. I think I did like a spin class, and then a Pilates class in the morning. And then I did a high rocks class and something else in the evening. And like, my mates were going, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, I have nothing else to do. But yeah, I did a high rocks class at a gym locally before.
Oh yeah, I know Forders. You're just seeing a load of my clients there.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I was dining after, like, genuinely outnumbered. The class so difficult, because in Loughborough, you just do the rounds, you don't do the running, because obviously you has them on the little Astro track bit. As a Forders, you do all of the rounds and all your other money. And at first, before I'd done this session, I was like, maybe I'd do a high rocks, like maybe not really that bothered, but like if a friend asked me to do one, we'd do a weekend away, like it fine. But then after doing the running, I was like, just yeah, but do I want to?
Yeah, that's the
It's always like, and the girl I went with to the Florida session, she like has done a half marathon and is really into her running, and she was like, yeah, like this is active recovery, and I was like, run ahead without me. I was like, I'm calling you back. I felt so made feel so fit the running, but I just, you know, I don't really like it, but it was, I was like, okay, if I could do high risk with no money in between, that would
You should do the station.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah. But I just feel like that. My friend's doing a metro. She sets up high.
So she doesn't know them now.
Yeah, but okay. This is the quick part.
Oh, okay.
Run round. So I already know the answer to this question. I'm pretty sure. If you could trade with one athlete, dead or alive, who would it be?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh, okay.
Who do you think I say? Usain Bolt.
No, I thought you were gonna say Michael Jordan.
No, I think it'd be really nasty to me.
No, it sounds a piss. But do you think Arj Thiruchelvam was like Michael Jordan?
Muhammad Ali. Every day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He's my hero as a Kadilki.
A funny story actually about Muhammad Jordan. I was at a barbecue with my friends a few months ago, and we were talking about random bits, and they said, "Oh, I went to see that new film Sinners, which is really good, by the way. I can't see that." I said, "Oh, it's really good. You should go and see it." And met this girl was like, "Well, is it that the like I don't know the main actor, you know, is he really that good?" So I'm like, "Be Jordan, yeah, he's a great actor. Like, I love him." And she's going, "Yeah, but he's not really an actor, is he?"
Oh my
No, he plays sport. And I went, "You're not talking about Michael Jordan, mate, the basketball player." And she was like, no. And I sat there at this barbecue and I was like, I'm not being iconic, and that's been one of my shoes he ever had. So I'm not going to know if he said it because she might come back and tell me off. But I was literally sat there like, have you genuinely just got those two resources?
That's on my friend. So that's a stupid thing to say.
But no, okay, fair enough. That was
100% Muhammad Ali.
that's awesome.
And I feel like Michael Jordan has achieved the most amazing things ever. He is absolutely a sporting icon, but he definitely couldn't be nice to get there. And I feel like trying to train with him was, when they said don't meet heroes,
Yeah.
I feel like he would probably be one of those moments.
You said Bob Bidgeon as well.
Yes.
I think he'd be nice. He seems like a nice guy.
And he's just chilled out.
Yeah.
I would really want to meet him.
Like, probably be the type of guy you could go for a beer with, like just a nice guy.
I think you've got more chance going for a beer with him now. But I'm of training with.
Well, if you watch it, you've got anyone to go. Well, we both want to go from there with you, so me will. You could go first. I'll wait second. What would be your guilty pleasure snack after a long day trip? Oh, the crab eggs.
Yeah, guys, in fairness, Lana's baking is next level. She used to turn up for 6 a.m. or whatever with some baked goods, foil.
Yeah.
They always made it home, or pretty much always.
Hey, you tell Tate you'd only been given one slice and you had like half a bunch of brownies.
Number one tree. Boy. Tea and berries.
Probably brownies. Yeah, or a brownie. A gooey one.
Which one? Yeah. Mary Berry recipe for brownie.
Oh, really? Is that girls?
Yeah, yeah. And we have this old baking book at Mary Berry's that we've had for literally as long as I can. We've had and genuinely, the brownie recipe, it never fails. Like it always.
First, don't have trouble now, but
Yeah. Well, if it comes tomorrow, we're having a party and making some brownies. So yeah. You're coming now.
I got some here for the.
Yeah, literally. Can I just have the brownies and I'll delete? Thanks. What would be your best, or like your favourite cat bed cyber?
Eaters.
Yeah.
And Solly Hall, which is next door here. This is what we've been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Is it on the cup?
Yeah.
Eaters.
Sponsors.
Eating your cakes as well. Well, obviously, it's really nice that they put us up here in Greens as well, in your own, just stay up so.
Yeah. I actually went to a really good cafe yesterday with Mom called the Steam House
So around there,
on the high street.
I have been there.
It is so nice. Be like a baby. Oh my god.
I had a. Oh, I didn't done that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because I wanted to meet my friend a few weeks ago, and I said, "Shall we go there?" Then we didn't end up going there, and then she messaged me this week saying, "I went there, and it was really good." And I was like, "Oh, I really want to go out."
Yeah.
And we got this. We shared this apple pearl donut. It's like
Oh, I think that's what.
the caramel apple
Yeah.
donut. Oh,
Yeah,
my
that's what
God,
I
that's beautiful. If you want to see some photos, head to Diaries of LMR on Instagram and TikTok. There's a little food review of that cafe. I'll check that off. But I think my favourite cafe was Bruton Screw.
Yes, no longer here in Slough Town Centre.
No, it's still got Blind Money and Cromwell, but like, I would just walk past it and like go in and get something. Whereas now it's just
It's an empty unit.
and like the other ones are good. Up by Mum and I go to MK. We'll go and do hits at Pilates and we'll treat ourselves to it.
I think I'll brew there.
Yeah, and Cromwell.
Oh yeah, of course. That's there. That was that there first. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, yeah.
And that's nice. But and like you kind of don't feel guilty about eating 'cause it's all cut. So
Shouldn't feel guilty about it, man. There's a place for everything.
yeah.
In my belly.
Go to Soms, bit like fire up for training.
Oh wow. Middleman Adrenaline, or Can't Arm Me Down in Massive Ones. Seven Nation Army always still gets goosebumps.
But Gosket.
Never. Bedding bit. Nah. Continue up. Prodigy, stuff like Prodigy.
You know they're going on tour.
I've seen them already.
Oh,
I think they've done that twice.
sorry. Forgot that you and that oldie.
Oh,
Seen them tour a few times.
I was a roadie.
we're full phones. Yeah, anything just with a little bit of grit, basically. Has to be fast. Has to be slightly aggressive.
Yeah. When I was in Croatia for a festival, there was this one DJ called Azir that just plays like pure techno, and I was listening to him a lot. So he's so good for a pub.
Yeah.
It was just exactly what you needed, but not too like shrill.
I started listening again to a bit of techno. For like when running and stuff like that. Good thing with you.
And on the topic of music, Arj presents at the music bingo at the Taste Collective in Soncore, which is very fun. I was saying that because I've won money a few times. No, joking. Although there's this one time that I won.
You want every round?
Yeah, there's 4 rounds, and I've literally not won a single time before I've gone to this song. And I've won every round.
That was
And I
so awkward.
refused to put my hand up after like the second one because I was like, this is taking a mick now. Like, this makes it seem.
There's like 85, 90 people in there,
Yeah.
and you literally were on constantly.
And you were like, you again, really? And I was like, oh, sorry.
So I was like, oh, like, everyone's going to start being.
Yeah, literally, I felt so bad. But if you could, like, choose some rounds, what would be the round?
Great question. Question of the day. I would have old school hip hop. I would have I'd be for classics.
Yes.
I would have indie sing-alongs pre 2012, I think it would be. And then final round.
Disney.
Buddy, no. What else I have? Disco or Motown or something like that, I think. We'll finish it off with that.
That would be a strong round. That would be a strong evening. Up comes that.
Yeah, if Troy would just let me have
Yeah.
every round I want rather than the rubbish he picks.
I went to Ministry of Sounds Ibiza Classics this year, and genuinely it was like unreal. Where was it? Was at the pub in the park. You know they do.
Oh,
But it's down in Friargate, and I went to State Beach
cool.
to Man Uncle, and genuinely it was like back to back of like Baker. It was just like Pete Tong and it's what's your fella's name? Jules Buckley is
Yeah, James Buckley.
James Buckley, that's it. And Oh,
Where is it, Jules?
no, there is someone.
James, one of them is the guy from In Between Us, isn't it?
Is that James?
Is that James Buckley? And then Jules Buckley is the Buckley. Oh dear. It's Buckley is the
Yeah,
conductor.
yeah, it was.
I think it was one ball. I went to see it.
Oh, are you?
Pete Tong's Ibiza Classics 10-year anniversary. Got tickets the other day for Kate's birthday.
Sounded amazing. I saw him at the.
Yeah.
He was just unbelievable. Pete Tong is so good. Like his renditions of the classics are just unbelievable.
Well, my friend plays the cello in it,
Oh,
and over the years he's put up these behind the scenes kind of like footage, and I've always said, "Oh, I'm definitely going to come." It's never worked. I think the one year we had tickets was COVID year, and then they like did a streamed performance instead, so, which was nice, but yeah, it was nothing compared to when it was last week her birthday, so I basically beamed a ticket thing from my phone to the TV. So when she woke up, obviously came downstairs, it was on the screen. She's like, "No." I was like, "Yeah."
Stop the tail.
She was just like, "One of those great presents. You got it for you." But we're like, have fun.
Selfie. Final.
Yeah, exactly. But it's nice.
Nice. That'll be really good. Well, thanks so much for doing this interview. Is there anything else you want to share with this massive audience for me?
Trying to say what people can get in touch with me.
Yeah, of course. And
Awesome. There's some very exciting things that are going to be happening over the next 6 to 12 months. So if you have any interest in fitness, nutrition, running, all of those kind of things, do keep an eye out on @performance_physique. Or if you just Google it, my smiley face will always come up. But we've got some really exciting things happening, and hopefully gradually start changing the dynamics of sports and liquor use.
And here's the first time review. Arj coached me for about 5-6 years abroad.
6 years, isn't it?
And he was unbelievable, from like gym work to running techniques, running, just everything to do with running that I don't really like it. And he definitely got me into it. Like I'll go on runs now. Rehab, when I had a back last year, his rehab just helped me so much. An 8-week plan where I couldn't get out of bed to begin with to get back into cricket. It was amazing. And just the training sessions, like it's such a highlight. My brother and I have trained with Arj, and it's just like through lockdown we had our daily zoo sessions, and it's just like a really good mix of professional and fun, and has, as he said before, knows those say things and to not. So
That's very nice, Keith.
yeah, like
Thank you, Lana.
yeah.
That's pretty nice.
So I would recommend Performance Physique for anyone if they need it.
Thank you, mate.